I'm super, super, super excited about our guest on today's episode. She's very special in very short amount of time because we recently just got reconnected to one another and in a very unique and I'll almost say divine way. Like if it really just wasn't for the right time and the right place and the right opportunity, we would have never reconnected.
Yes, we would have.
But we did. So I'm more than happy and excited to have you today. I have no one other than the beautiful, the talented Jessica Suarez with us this afternoon. And I'm going to read you're more than welcome, sis. I'm going to read your bio, give people a little bit of an understanding of who you are. But Jessica Suarez is a self-taught contemporary artist born in Lagos. She has learned to develop and build her works through different mediums of art. Her work expresses / shows her love for hair and the struggle she faced having to grow hair as a child. Her creative drive for art grew from storybooks. Her grandma would encourage her by always making her makeshift tracing papers using cooking oil and plain paper. Wow. Okay, we don't have to talk about this. Having no formal training about art, Jessica matured her passion into pursuing art as a full-time job, studying and creating with different styles and techniques to finally find that one unique style that differentiates her and truly tells her story.
Yeah.
Although this is your bio, personally, I always have to give my own personal introduction. And so my personal introduction of Jessica before she takes the stage is that Jessica and I connected in 2019 when I was doing a mental health conference in Lagos, Nigeria. And if I look and I think back to when I was, preparing for the conference, I think part of my me and my planning committee had really just said, like, we wanted to do something creative to involve everyone that comes to the conference and then, like, do something to also gift to the children's psychiatric ward in Oshodi. And I was like, man, we need a painter. We need someone that's going to put something together that's creative, that's going to speak to mental health and bringing people together and children and all these different things. And we're going to need someone that can, like, be creative to create something and then have people, like, write words of affirmation on the painting and cover it up in the white spaces and then frame it and then present it to the children's psych ward. And I think I just went on Instagram really just searching for an artist. Didn't know much about any artists in Lagos, and I think I just randomly stumbled upon Jessica's page, and next thing you know, I am reaching out to her, and so she did our beautiful mural. I will definitely have to get a picture of that in the podcast so they could see the beautiful mural you did. But then we reconnected literally just less than a month ago.
Yeah, at the gym.
But in the short time I've known Jessica, it was really nice just getting to know you before I remembered that I actually knew you already. Super vibrant, beautiful smile, always just very energetic. I met her in the gym, and y'all know, like, when you're struggling and trying to get your life together, it's really about community and having the right people surround you. So the fact that you were just a familiar face that was always smiling was just super encouraging. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome Jessica Suarez. Thank you, sis.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. So, I mean, I love having different people in different seasons of life come on the show. And I think for one of the major reasons, like, I wanted to have you on the show is because when we spoke, we just initially
connected.
Like, it got deep real quick. Was it just me?
Yeah, no, I mean, it just felt very real, just felt very peaceful, like, speaking to you. So I didn't even know I'd known you. So, I mean, it just felt like I don't think I've ever really told anybody the stuff before that's not really close to me. So it just felt I just felt less to just share. I'm like, oh, this is why I'm here, and this is the first time I'm being here in a very long time. So it just felt very real, like very organic, like that. And then finding out, realizing that we've worked together and I've known you before, it just made everything very wholesome. So yeah.
Sure. So you normally don't share your experience?
No, I think I've only told just the time it happened, and that was probably the only last time I spoke about it, and that was after 6 months, because it took me 6 months, it took me 6 months to get out of it. Because I didn't really understand what grief was. Like when I see him, I'm like, oh, it's okay, it happens to people. But then it happening to me just felt very different. And how it happened just felt very different for me. So yeah.
Okay, so, and this is your first time talking about it publicly?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
It's my first time talking about it publicly.
Thank you for being vulnerable and being open to even, sharing your story on this platform. And I pray that even just through your leap of faith and being able to share your story, that people that come in contact with this episode are just encouraged and truly inspired by your story.
Yes, so, I hope so too.
I mean, we meet each other at the gym. We're talking. We're like, girl, what are you doing to lose weight? What are you eating? What are you doing? Like, we're exchanging ideas and thoughts. And then, I'm like, I don't know what even led to our conversation about the gym. Like,
it was food. Like, we're talking about things, and I like, when I used to go to the gym before, this is what I used to eat.
And
so
then you kept, that was it. You kept on referring to what I used to do before.
Yes.
And I'm like, before what? Like, why are you, why are you referring to what you used to do before? And then that led me to, okay, what made you stop going to the gym?
Yes.
So, I mean, I guess that's where I want you to pull the audience on, and if you don't mind, kind of sharing your story from there.
So it was, I used to go to the gym a lot back in 2017. And for me, gym was like my escape place. And I would go every day. I could go morning and night. It was, once you start and you're seeing that results, it just keeps you going. And I just had like a set goal that I really needed my body to be, so nothing could stop me. And so then there was my mom. She would call me and tell her, I'm going to the gym, and it was fine. So leading to 2017, my grandma passed in 2013. Yeah, so I grew up with my grandma, right? So my grandma was the first grief I ever felt when she passed. And I didn't understand what grief was until my grandma passed. Like, it will happen to people around. I'm like, okay, people die. That's what I always say. But I didn't understand it until it happened to me. And then I remember my mom coming and to see me during my grandma's period, and then I see her, I'm like, what's wrong with you? She's like, oh, she had cancer, but she didn't want to share because my mom didn't live together. I'm like, why didn't you tell me?
So this was during when you were mourning your grandma?
Yes, and then I'm like, why didn't you tell me? She's like, oh, I don't like to bother you with stuff like that. And I'm like, you should have just told me. And then I see that she had a mastectomy already. I'm like, why didn't you just tell me? So that was it. And I thought, okay, it's done, and she's fine, right? And then 2013, 14, 15, everything was fine. And then suddenly one day she calls me. I'm like, what's going on with you? And she's like, and then we're having a conversation. And the next thing, she was mumbling her words. I'm like, what's going on with you? She's like, I'll call you back later. My mom doesn't like to bother me about things. She just feels like she's telling me and then she's stressing me out. And then she calls me in the evening like, oh, can you tell when I was speaking to you, I was mom? I'm like, yes. She's like, oh, that she's having loss of memory. I'm like, why are you having loss of memory? And then she's like that she doesn't know, and she doesn't know why. I'm like, okay. And then I had work. I just started this job, and then I knew I needed to see her. My mind was telling me I needed to see her, but I didn't think it would deteriorate that fast. So it started with she couldn't walk. How can you not walk leading to you having dementia? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then everywhere she went to, pastor, my mom was a deaconess in church. My mom lived for God. Like pastor would tell her, bring your car for she would do everything. Her car was this church's bus on Sunday to pick up people. So I didn't understand why she would go through all of that if she was truly serving God. And to me, it didn't make any sense to me at that time. And then she didn't mind. Like, I'll tell her, I'm like, Mommy, I don't understand what's going on with you. Like, you were fine. So what's going on now? And then everything happened really fast. So there was a Sunday the week before she passed, she called me. No, she didn't call me. I was going to the gym on Sunday after church, and I remember this person stopping me on the way. And it was a pastor was asking me, oh, I'm going to some orphanage, whatnot. And I kind of remember saying, I can't remember. I was actually being nice to him. And next thing I remember was I was in the car going with him. And then I'm like, and then Lois said, you're about to be kidnapped. What's going on? And then man tells me, and I prayed in my mind, like, I don't know what's going on right now, but I need to come down from this guy. And he goes, oh, there's something bothering you. Your mom is sick, right? I didn't tell him that. But I knew I could not be vulnerable because they were going to catch me with that. I'm like, no, mom's not sick. Like, yes, my mom is sick and you have to be well. I'm like, yeah, let me just calm down. And I remember doing that. And then my stepfather called me like, oh, your mom, something's wrong with your mom and you need to come and see her. So throughout that time I was struggling with leaving. My mom was actually struggling from dying. So she actually died that day when that stuff was happening to me. And for me,
Wait, okay, so rewind. You're walking to go to the
gym, yes.
And a car stops you.
To ask me for directions to an orphanage.
To an orphanage. Then how do you get in the car?
I don't know how I got into the car.
So you think it was like one chance or
yes,
something?
Yes, it was. Yes, because I just remember somebody.
For those who aren't familiar with
one chance
is like, maybe you can explain it better.
Yeah, like one chance is when people just tell you, "Oh, follow me somewhere," and then they ask you for direction. Next thing you're losing your memory, and next thing you're seeing yourself in the car.
Some people, you don't remember actually getting into.
I don't remember actually getting in the car, but I remember we're not turning to where I said we're turning to. We're going somewhere else, and I knew at that point I was getting kidnapped, and I just said a prayer in my mind, and then he just said something that made me realize that, okay, there's something wrong with me. And I'm like, oh, please let me come. They're like, oh, your mom is sick and you want her to be well. And then I knew that, okay, you are not a pastor. You really just want to just do something to me. So at that time...
So he lets you out of the car.
Yes. And then I was about to shout and then they were like, this girl will shout, let's just leave. And they just zoomed off.
Wow.
And for me, I knew that was God just telling me something. And that was God just saving me. And then when my stepfather called me, because I'm someone that I relate things very spiritually. And at that time, my relationship with God wasn't as strong, but he was always leading me. Like I remember things happening to me. He was always preparing me for every encounter I was about to have. So I knew that was him preparing me for that, and I was able to get myself out of it immediately. But then something was going to happen. My mom as well was struggling, and then he calls me, like, okay, I'm going to try to come to work, and then.
He said he was going to come and try to come.
I was going to try to come. I was going to try to come and see my mom from work. Like I'll take time off.
So did you end up still going to the gym?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And when I told them in my house, I was like, there's something. I'm a very daring child. Like I didn't understand. I just thought it was nothing, and I left and I went to the gym, and then I came back home, and then this was the funny part. So I came back home from the gym, and then I was watching American Idols, and then this boy came to sing this song that his friend passed, and then he was singing a song for his friend, and then Simon Cowell was crying. And then for me, I'm like, why? She doesn't cry. I'm like, why was he crying? And then throughout that whole week, I wasn't sleeping because my spirit was nervous. I knew something was coming, but I just didn't know what it was. And then on Friday night, it was a week after the kidnapping happened. On Friday night, I couldn't sleep. And then I remember on Sunday what happened to me. And I remember somebody saying somebody passed. And then I'm like, okay, why was that person crying? I go to Google and I Googled why he was crying, and his mom passed. And that's why I was crying. So that song kind of like...
Oh, Simon Cowell was crying because his mom had passed.
Yes.
So the song reminded him
of his mom.
Wow.
So here's the fun story after that. So I listened to that song, and that song was the last thing I ever remember doing, and I slept off. I've not been sleeping the entire week, and I slept off. And next time I wake up in the morning, I felt cold, I felt different, but I didn't just understand what was going on. And then that song, God just said, listen to the song the entire time to the gym.
What was the name of the song?
Jealous by Labyrinth.
Okay.
Yes, it wasn't a normal gym song. It wasn't my normal pumped up gym song, but that song I had it on repeat all the way to the gym. And I got to the gym, my normal routine. I left my phone charging at the reception. I was at the spin class. I'm very bad with my phone. You can call me 3 days, I won't pick up. And my siblings know that. And then the receptionist comes and says, oh, your phone has been ringing. I think someone's trying to get to you. I'm like, okay. And I go and I see my siblings. I see my stepfather. I didn't even call him back. I called my sibling, and I was shouting, like, why are you calling me so much? What's it? I'm like, oh, that you never like to pick up your call. And mommy always tells us you never like to pick up your call. Call this person. And I call him, and he goes, where have you been? So I'm trying to call you.
Who was the person that they told you to call?
My stepfather.
Father, okay.
And I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, I'm sorry, but your mom passed. I'm like, and then I remember I felt silent, like everything around me just felt really silent. And then I just wanted to run. And the next thing, after I got myself back together, Holy Spirit reminded me again, And just feel that God used that song to prepare me for the journey I was about to encounter. And then I asked him, when did she pass? And he told me the exact time. And I go back to my Google search, and then that was the exact time my mom passed when that song came on. I've never told anybody this. And I'm like, really? And like, yeah. And then she actually trying to call me, but I don't know what happened. And then
so she had tried to reach you.
Yeah, she was, even like a week before then, she stopped talking to anybody. Even they said my birthday wasn't the last time she ever spoke to anybody, because she called me on my birthday. This was 2 years before she passed, and that was the last time she ever spoke to anybody. And
so you never really got to see her before?
No, I didn't. So, and then I'm like, how is God amazing? Like, he knew, and he prepared me for the journey. He knew that he was coming. I didn't know how it was going to come, but he already. So I didn't feel it as much as I should. I was mad. I was upset, but he knew that it was going to happen. And then, like, this is the only way I can comfort this girl before it does happen and before she gets to
What were the lyrics of that song? What exactly comforted you about the song Jealous?
It goes, I'm jealous of the way the wind ripples through your hair. Now that you're finally free, you're no longer with me. I'm jealous that you found peace and you're happy now. So it was just things like that. Because before then, I dreamt that my mom was at peace. She was happy. She was walking. She was dressed in white. So I didn't understand. So when I heard those lyrics, I didn't relate it to my mom. It was just me just finding comfort in that song. So on that day when it happened, and I'm like, and then I go back to lyrics and I'm listening, I'm like, okay, this is what it was. He had already shown me, but I just wasn't prepared for it. And then he had to prepare me. And like I said, God always finds this, God speaks to me through songs. I realized that, like, over time, that things will be about to happen to me, and then he'll just tell me to play a song. And so I found that the way he speaks to me through songs. I was about to get in an accident one time, and I remember he told me to listen to Peace Be Still. Peace Be Still was by what's it called? Piece of Peace. I can't remember. And I remember he told me to listen to that song. I didn't know why he told me to listen to the song repeatedly. And I remember, and I found myself on Ibadan Expressway, our car was spinning. If I wasn't, and then my friend was sleeping beside me, I know by myself that if I was listening to that song, I probably would have been panicking. But because that song played till that car stopped. And so there are ways like that God has always helped me to prepare me for saying things that will come. Okay. And so that was very traumatizing for me. I couldn't find myself at the gym.
We're gonna before we get into like the post, so we're gonna break this down. Mm-hmm. One, I want you to briefly discuss the relationship with your mom prior to, like, growing up. What was your relationship with her to the point, and then what also, like, it seems like you were battling with seeing her or not. Like, it seemed like you wanted to, but you didn't quite just get there. What was like that? So talk about the relationship, and then as to why you ended up not being able
so
to
my
see
mom
her.
and I we didn't grow up together. My mom was young, so she had me and she had to go to school, so I had to be left with my grandma. So we didn't have that. We didn't see as much as we could. And then, I mean, as a girl growing up at some point in time, you just feel like you don't need your mom anymore. So, but we kept close contacts. But for someone like me, I always think I'm fine by myself, right? So she would try to reach out to me. I tried to see her on holidays, and then she was very good with God, so she would take me to church. My family is very good with God, so I knew God from a very young age. So with her, it was we had this distance relationship, but as well as close. Anytime I was sad, my mom was the only person I would call. Even if I don't tell her, her voice and her laughter had this way to really calm me. Yeah. Even till now, I never deleted her number. It's still on my phone because I just didn't see myself just doing that. So for her, it was a case of, okay, I felt like she was going to overcome it. So I didn't think that it would be that soon, because I didn't think leg pain will cause death or cause dementia. So I wasn't.
Did you know that the cancer had returned or no?
It didn't return. They said it was from the all the chemotherapy and stuff that affected. So the radiography affected her leg. So it's not like she had cancer. It was just
effects of the cancer.
Yes.
The chemotherapy that
yes,
she had to experience.
that affected her. Yes.
Did you ever have any resentment against her?
No, my resentment was to God, not her.
No, I mean initially because you
Oh
didn't
no, I
grow up with
never.
her.
No, I
Okay.
never did.
So you loved her.
Yes, I did.
Genuinely had like a relationship with her. May have not been like the
Yeah, we're
closest.
not really close, but yeah, she made me. I liked the way she laughed and I liked her voice. So like I said, anytime I was sad and I couldn't tell anybody else, even if I don't tell her, I just wanted to just hear her voice.
So you had a special relationship
Yes,
with her.
with my mom.
Now the special person in your life is gone.
Yes.
Everything starts crashing down. Tell us what are your initial thoughts? And I think you already touched on it. You start thinking, God, like why? Why did this happen to me?
Yeah, so as her firstborn, I was very sad. I was very resentful. I was very mad at God. And I couldn't understand why he would do that to her. I mean, she was devoted to God. She worked tirelessly for God. I'm like, even if you had to, that's why I remember saying this thing, even if you had to, you didn't have to punish her that way. For me, I felt that was a punishment. I didn't think that was fair. You gave her cancer and then you gave her dementia. Like nobody had to go through all of that to eventually pass. So I didn't understand why he would do that to her. And during the whole burial process, I wasn't tell me to read the Bible. I was saying, I remember Pastor telling me I'm like, I'm not going to, because I was that mad. I'm like, I'm not going to read the Bible because I knew it was wrong to be mad about why I was really, really mad. And then I had I had a sibling that was really young. I'm like, what do you expect her to do? Like, they didn't understand it, but they had their own. And it's funny because they had their own encounter as to when she passed. Because my siblings were really young, but they felt like they saw her. Like the youngest one said, oh, I saw her. So it was easy for her as well. So I think God just visited everybody in his own way because my sister was 6. I was like, oh no, I saw mommy. It's fine. I understand. I didn't understand how she would understand that. So she was my major concern. But she already said, I saw her and I know she's fine. So I felt he understood. God has, I mean, he works in mysterious ways. So even if we don't understand it, even if it was painful at that time, but he found a way to comfort each and every one of us. And it took me a while, to be honest. It took me a very long while to get out of it.
Let's talk about the journey. So this happens. Your world is turned upside down. I mean, this is obviously tragic. You're the firstborn. You didn't even get to say goodbye in a way that you'd like to. Now, what does life look like for you through your lens? What was the process of grief? Just name some of the things that you found yourself doing or going through before you finally came out of it.
So for me it was just trying to do the things that we always clashed about. I needed to be there for my siblings. I needed to be more present, and I didn't know how to. I failed so many times at being a sibling. I failed so many times in being a sister, and I tried. I always told them I'm sorry, but I can't because I'm not there myself. So I don't see a way that I can be there for you guys. And then, like I said, it took me a long time. But did I really meet up with them? I don't think so because I didn't get out of it soon enough. And I know when I did, I think it was too late because they found solace in something else. So I wasn't being a sister at that time. So it was not until years after, it's 7 years now, and it wasn't up to like 3 or 4 years after they then got to understand that, okay, you were dealing with it as well and we were dealing with it as well, so we cannot then hold you to that because it was different for everyone of us.
So what was the process of grief for you? I know we spoke about like turning to, drinking and, partying, or what was that like for you?
So I shut out from everybody. I didn't have friends for a very long time because, like I said, I wasn't there for people. I wasn't there for my siblings, so there was no way I could be there for my friends. So I would just go to work and come back home, and at some point, I just woke up one day. I'm not going to work anymore because I wasn't just ready. I wasn't healed yet, and then I just stopped praying. If you tell me anything about God, I'm like, okay. I knew he was there, but I was just too mad to just speak to him. I just said, okay, I've heard. And he was constantly tugging on my heart that I needed to pray, but I just didn't find the words or anything to say. So for me, it took me a long time. And by the time I came around, I lost most of my friends. Right? Yeah, because...
Would you have considered yourself like going through depression?
Yes, I was going through depression. And
was alcohol the only thing that would comfort you, or do you feel like, was there anything like that you feel like you would go to?
So that's when I started painting more. Yeah. So
this is when Jessica, the artist.
Yeah. So that's when I started painting because I found that when I painting takes a long time. So by the time you're done painting, it's already the next day. So that helps me deal with it as well. So that's I found myself painting more, and I'll just paint things that made me happy. And then we shared a story together. Mom had alopecia. And it was funny that when she was going through all of this, her hair didn't fall off one bit. So that was something I drew my story for my art from, because every time I tell them, I'm like, oh, Mom had cancer and her hair never fell off. But when she didn't have, all her hair would literally fall off.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was that was something that helped me as well. So I felt like, oh, we're still connected regardless of anything. And I will sleep. I'll see her. She'll come to say hello to me. She'll tell me she knows I'm struggling. Like, she knew. My mom knew I was struggling. She knew. Like, I knew we both knew. Like, like I said, I'm very spiritual. Like, we both knew she was dead. So she just said, oh, I can just tell you that I miss you and I know you're struggling, but don't worry, everything will be fine. Like, she will tell me when I'm sleeping, and I know. So I found happiness that I'm sleeping and I'm seeing her. Even when people say it's bad, but for me, it wasn't bad, because we're not doing it. She's not saying anything out of the ordinary. She's just telling me, I understand what you're going through and don't worry, everything will be fine. And I miss you as well. She says that to me. And then when she saw that I was fine, she stopped coming. So my mom stopped coming to me when she saw that I was fine. And then that's when my auntie would force me to go to church. And when I started going to church, I stopped seeing her. Until one day I saw her again. Each time I said, I just came to tell you that God says He's happy, that you're radical for Jesus, and then you're mad for Him again. And that's when last time I ever saw her.
So let's break this down. You go through this loss, this grief. There's a bit of like resentment against God. How long do you feel like that took you?
It took almost,
I think you said 3 to 4. Was it?
Yeah, it was 4.
4 years. During that time, you isolate.
Yes,
you're depressed. Did. You're, like throwing yourself into your art, into other things. Not really talking to friends. Not really. Being in isolation. What was the moment like when you realized that you wanted to give God a chance? Like, when was it that like you're like, okay, God, like I'm tired of dealing with this by myself. I know I've been upset with you. I know I've been angry, but I'm ready to like talk to you. So like again. I said, my auntie knew I had a gift and she didn't want that gift to die. She didn't want that spiritual gift to die. So she would always force me every time to go to church. And one day it was just a midweek service. I'm like, okay, let me just try. And I went to the church, and then I liked the church. And then in a week, I became a worker, like being a school officer. Like, it was really fast. Like, I just felt like I was home. I felt like I'd been out for too long, and I felt welcomed. I felt seen, and I felt like this was where I was supposed to be. And that's how I knew I was ready, because I didn't take long to just do everything I needed to do for God, and just to have Him just see me again and have Him see that, okay, I was sorry and I understand now. Because as I was 26 then, or not 24, I can't remember. I was young then, so obviously I was a child. But now as time grew, I grew as well. I grew to understand life more while I was away, and then while I see people and I read, when I started to see things differently from other people's lenses as well. So that helped me prepare more, and that made me ready for when I was about to start again. So yeah. Okay, and so in hindsight now, what do you think? What is your understanding brought you to? Like, where are you now? Like, obviously your mom served God. She was faithful. Your rationale, even though you were young, was still valid, right? Yeah. Everyone who would have seen your mom sacrifice her car, right? Or work to make sure that people in the church were taken care of, or just be selfless. Anyone who would have seen that and then seen her also suffer would have questioned, like, God, where were you? So from your experiences and the time spent, away from a relationship with God, what did you now understand, or what do you now understand about what happened and why it happened to your mom? And God still being good despite that.
He knew. God always has a way of doing His things, and we can never understand. And that's why I realized that we can never understand how. We might not see, it might be a stretch, but He always does prepare us for whatever is coming. And He's always a just God. He's always good. He knows sometimes some things seem very terrible that will happen, but He always does compensate at the end of the day. And He will always find a way to prove Himself and make you understand that it might take a while, but He's patient. And when you're ready to come to him, you welcome me and make you realize that I didn't do this because I did this because I love her and I love you and I want you to see this is why it happened, right? So he's a very patient God, and we might not understand when we're going through stuff, but you always find a way to compensate. And for me, I found that he compensated me in so many ways, and he's still doing it. Even though sometimes I fall short, he's still telling me that I understand sometimes that you might be going through certain things you don't understand, but leave it and just listen to me and I'll make it right in due time.
Yeah. And do you feel like despite the pain and, the grief that you experienced, God still had a purpose behind it?
Yes, it did have a purpose behind it, because he wanted to just show that it happened, but he wanted to tell me I saw her happier. Even if she was here, she probably might not be happy. If she was here, things that I'm going through. But whatever way it happened to her was what I didn't understand. But he knew he had bigger purpose for her, right? And he knew that it was time for her to come to him. So I just understand it. Like I said, I was young. I knew I wasn't young in age, but I was just very upset to see the bigger picture of it. And I'm glad that my siblings as well haven't fallen back, or they're not lacking or suffering in any way.
Anyway.
Yes, it's been.
What is the relationship like with you and your siblings
um
now?
as we say, it's getting better.
Okay,
It's getting better. I'm human, so sometimes I feel, but it's getting better. It's better than it was before. And we've tried to find strength in the fact that, okay, this is the only person that was connecting us. Even if she's not here anymore, we still have to be together regardless. So, yes. So God just found a way. Like I said, he compensated in so many other ways. And it's just a testament of the fact that we might not understand now, but you eventually understand, and you always make it right in its time.
What would you say to young Jessica, young 24, 23-year-old Jessica that has just experienced the loss of her mom and doesn't know what to do? What would you say now in hindsight, given all that you know now?
It was okay. It's going to be okay eventually. That's what I would have said. It was going to be okay eventually. And it'll always be okay. Things will happen. Life will throw you so many balls. It's just how you take it. And always hold on to God. He will never leave or forsake you. It might just be like it's hard at that time, but it will always come around. Hold on to God regardless. It's okay for him. He knows you're mad. He knows. And
also, I actually want to touch on this. I know we don't have as much time, but people often don't feel that a relationship with God is like a relationship that you would have like with another person. Like people are like, you can't get mad at God. You can't be upset.
Of course you can.
So let's talk about humanizing that relationship with him and realizing that, I was upset with God, but rightfully so.
Rightfully so. He knows. And there's this word I always hold on to. I knew you before you were formed. Of course, he knows you're going to be mad at him before he did something. Yeah. God knows everything. He knows you'll be mad at him. So he knows. That's why it's always good to have a personal relationship with God, not what somebody tells you. It's what you experience with God by yourself that shapes your relationship with him. And I take things in the Bible very literal. He knew me before I was formed, so he knew I was going to be upset. You know what kind of person I am, you know what kind of child that you have, that if I do this, Jessica, she'll be mad. And I was mad, and that's fine. It's just the same way they said when you hold on to God and say, okay, God, I'll not leave until you let me go. Of course, God is God. He's not human. That's why he's not man. So he's, however way, that's why he says, relate to him like I'm your friend, relate to him like I'm your father, relate to him like I'm your sister, and I'm there to listen to you. So yes, it's very good to have that human relationship with God, because it's very natural. And that's why he's always saying, I'm your father, I'm your friend, talk to me and I'm listening.
Yeah, these days I relate to God as my Abba Father. I'm like, God, I'm coming again because I know I messed up.
Yeah.
But I know that you love me and I know that you're going to help me and you're going to be my provider, my protector. And so, I think that's something really strong that people often don't talk about, because we like to overly make things so religious that we forget that God is a father.
He's a father.
He's a friend. He's a mentor. He's a protector. And he can play so many roles and be so many things to so many people. But I do want to talk a little bit about, before we wrap up, your art career. Now, you have really established yourself as a beautiful artist. And so let's talk about like what you're currently doing, what projects you're doing, how you're trying to use, this to me is like you turning pain into purpose.
Yeah, so it's meant to turn pain into purpose. I really want to
just touch on like what that looks like for you currently.
Yeah, so it's helped. I mean, sometimes you look at life and like the other person says, sometimes God just makes you go through stuff so you can have a purpose, right? If I didn't go through all of that, I probably would not even be thinking about painting or whatnot. If my mom was still, I probably would never remember to do that. But I felt that that whole experience was for me to be able to still keep her life in my memory and to be able to talk about what we're both experiencing together. And it kind of like it's been life changing for me because people have really come to me. I'm like, oh, I have this as well, or my mom had this as well, and I'm people can relate and you can share their stories with me. So it's been very life changing for me, and it's opened really like doors for me as well that I'm very thankful for, and I'm glad that she gave me the story and God gave me the story. So yeah, that's what I take away from that experience.
And where can people follow you and follow your beautiful art?
Oh yes, so it's Jessica SOARES on Instagram.
Spell it for them. Let them know. Come on now.
Okay, so it's JESSICASOARESEE. So you'll see all of my stories there and me talking about the whole experience of alopecia and how it's okay to not be okay sometimes.
Jessica, girl, you are an inspiration.
Thank you.
I'm truly, truly on. I mean, I felt like what you don't understand is the day we reconnected, I had just been in such a rut, like just not feeling motivated, just thinking, God, what am I doing with my life? I got so much, on the table. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. And sometimes going to the gym is literally like it's a way of therapy. But you don't know, like in the process of going to the gym, or I didn't know that in the process of going to the gym, God was going to use you to encourage me because, I mean, you had never really shared your story, but you felt, inclined or felt like it was organic to share. And it was just such an encouragement because I felt that through your story, like, God, you see me and like, you're with me. Sometimes you just need a reminder.
Yeah, you like, always need a reminder. Mm-hmm.
And there was such an encouragement. And I just felt like it would be, I would be doing a disservice by not at least asking you if you would, accept my invitation to be on. And I'm glad I came. You don't understand. I'm so ecstatic. I know that so many people are going to be encouraged by just the nature of hearing you and hearing your story. And I'm truly just blessed to have been reconnected with you. And we are all rooting for you. I cannot wait to see all of the amazing things you go on to continue to achieve, continue to be a blessing and work in the kingdom. And yeah, like I'm rooting for you, sis. Like you're doing amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.